mystery and horror, the air itself is filled with monsters.
Children of the night, what music they make. He's alive! He's alive!
Well, hello, all you monster fiends, and thank you for joining us for another deep dive, factoid-filled episode exploring Hollywood's most famous monsters. I am your mistress of ceremony, Sam, and I am joined, as always, by Dan from Bleeding Marvelous. Say hello, Dan.
Hello, Danielle.
That's 2 weeks in a row you've done, Danielle.
I know. I feel like I'm punishing
trying to-
myself. It's my naughty name.
Well,
it's my government name. I'm exposing myself here.
you deserve it for making us do this episode today. I'm only joking. I'm only funning. It's going to be an interesting one. It's going to be a fun one, and I am actually looking forward to it. For all, this movie is something. Everything else around it is really, really interesting. Yep. Dan is nodding. Yep. Dan is nodding. So I'll do the disclaimer, and then we'll get into Pumpkinhead. Got a new voice today. had to change it because you can't do like, jigsaw. You can't do that.
No. You need like a southern accent, don't you? Pumpkinhead.
Oh, don't get me started on that southern accent. We'll have a whole episode of me talking like that. Right, so everything discussed in today's episode is our opinions and our opinions alone. If you'd like to discuss anything from today's episode, please come and join us in the Facebook group, Discord, or comment section, and we can have an open discussion. But what we won't have is anyone coming for us and telling us our opinions are wrong. We can all agree to disagree in fandom. So let's keep it fun, keep it kind, and keep the toxic behaviour out of her nerdism.
And don't be a dick. Thank you. Thank you very much.
There you go. Yeah. So
that's the greatest way to start this book.
So this is the 1988 supernatural horror. This was directed and was the debut of the master himself, Stan Winston. There are 4 films in this franchise, along with its very own video game. And if the rumors are true, we will have a new film coming our way very shortly. So keep away from Pumpkinhead unless you're tired of living, as Monsters Up North brings you Pumpkinhead.
Pumpkinhead.
Oh,
dear. Sorry to America for that. Yeah.
I'm not apologizing. You brought this film out. You brought it on yourselves. So Pumpkinhead.
Where the hell do you start with this one?
Where do you start? Let's just go back to what I said earlier. It is true. There is if the rumors are true, sorry, we will have another Pumpkinhead out at some point.
I don't think I'd mind on this occasion a reboot of this, as long as he was practical effects like he is here.
Yes.
And not heavily CG'd.
Yeah.
If they mix the two, I wouldn't be averse to that either.
As long as it fitted it. As long as it's like that in that movement, that's where the CG would. Do you know what it needs to work? Yeah.
Yeah. Because I do feel there's a lot that needs to be done with the storyline in this movie. So, I mean, for me, I would be not averse to it. As long as Blumhouse wasn't directing.
Yeah, it'd be typical, absolute typical. You get everything you want, but it's a Blumhouse production.
I'd watch it still because FOMO.
But
it's still one of the things that would just in my soul it would hurt. It would somewhere.
Watching this film hurt my soul. But there's a lot of potential with it. There's a lot that could be done with it.
I saw a quote off of someone on one of these many websites that have reviewed it, and it said this was Lance Henriksen's all-time best role. And I said, I beg your fucking pardon. I had to read it again. I was like, let's review your statement because there's so
And the-
many
and
things
the-
wrong with
and the-
that.
And let's go through his filmography.
Yeah,
No,
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 wrong.
no,
I mean,
no,
I know we shouldn't tell people they're wrong because at the end of the day, everybody's allowed their
no.
own opinion.
That's
But like,
right.
oh, I just,
No,
it's
no.
not even a matter of taste. That is just a matter of fact. It's like, I know he's done
No.
better. So,
Yeah. I mean, his filmography speaks for itself, so and
yes.
Pumpkinhead would never be one that I'd go Oscar.
I don't even think it would win a BAFTA or a raspberry or a whatever they're called these
Oh
days.
no. Well, interesting fact number one. It's based on a poem, which is I did think quite interesting. The poem is by Ed Justin and it's
Yep.
called Seeks You in Vengeance or Seek You in Vengeance. And it's it's probably one of the first films, and this is somebody else pointed this out, and it's blaringly obvious. It's a film, one of the first films where it's not based on a book.
Yes, yeah.
It's based on an actual poem, and it makes me think. I didn't read the poem, but I was like, what kind of poem is this?
I've got it here.
Have you really?
Yeah, it's not a very long poem. If you want me to read it, I can.
Go on then.
Okay, forgive me here, but I shall keep away from Pumpkinhead unless you're tired of living. His enemies are mostly dead. He's mean and unforgiving. Laugh at him and you're undone, but in some dreadful fashion. Vengeance he considers fun and plans with it a passion. Time will not erase or blot a plot that he has brewing. It's when you think that he's forgot, he'll conjure your undoing. Bolted doors and windows barred, guard dogs prowling in the yard. Won't protect you in your bed. Nothing will from Pumpkinhead.
That's pretty damn cool.
And that's what the kids were singing when they're circling the Milky Bar Kid.
It is, and it's also the lyrics to my favorite Misfits song,
I was
Pumpkinhead.
going to say, I noticed the T-shirt.
Oh yeah,
I see what you did.
Yeah, I had to wear Misfits because Pumpkinhead is on the Monsters albums, one of my favorite Misfits albums, and it was when they started singing it in the film, and I was like, oh, keep away from Pumpkinhead, lest you're tired of living. I was like, oh my god, I get that reference. I didn't realize it was directly from the poem, which would totally make a lot of sense.
Yeah,
It's good. I like the fact that it's not a book.
yeah.
It's a poem. It's very different, but that is my first interesting fact of this movie. Let's talk about the plot of the movie.
What plot?
There is a plot.
Is there?
It's ridiculous, but there is a plot. So
Kinda, maybe ish.
So at the beginning of the movie, you've got a couple, which doesn't make any sense, but there's a couple, and it looks like a bit of a storm going on outside.
Yeah.
And there's a bit of ruckus as well, and they're getting themselves all antsy, and they're saying you shouldn't go out there, can't go out there, it's too dangerous. And then something happens, and I can't remember what
The guy
happens.
knocks on the door, starts screaming and howling
Yes,
at them
that's
to let
it.
him in.
That's
Yeah.
it, and they don't, and then he's gone.
Kid in the bed.
Which, when we get to the end of the film, won't actually make any goddamn sense as to that scene at all.
Yeah.
Because then it cuts away to Lance Hendrickson and his son. And
The Milky Bar Kid, yeah.
yeah, very much so. Very much so. Terrifying child, not gonna lie. They having
Poor little bugger.
poor little thing. But they're having a moment, father-son moment, and then it cuts away to the teenagers.
Dirt bikers.
Oh my
What the
god,
hell?
their accents were so funny.
Oh, I'm just a teenage dirt biker baby.
Oh, they were not listening to Iron Maiden, no. They were not. They were not cool at all. They
God,
were
no.
a bunch of assholes. Actually, all the kids in there. And where the hell were they living? Like, did nobody get a wash? Like, did you see the state of the kids? They were just
Yeah.
covered from head to toe in mud.
Yeah.
Like, literally. And I was like, this is at the beginning of the day.
And they were wearing sacks, most of them little kids as well. It was like,
Yeah.
ah.
Hey. Okay. Well, yes, and the incident occurs where the Milky Bar Kid gets,
Yes.
but it's not quite made clear that he gets
No.
not at all, because it's really not. a commotion happens. I mean, he is getting picked on by the neighborhood kids, and then all of a
Which
sudden,
did you see who one of them kids was?
not until the very end,
Yeah,
not
one of
until
the,
the end when it was pointed out
apparently it was her very first film.
it's her very first credited film. It
Yeah.
was Mayim Bialik, who is better known as Amy Farrah Fowler from The
Yeah.
Big Bang Theory.
Yeah, because I knew her for my first film of her was always Beaches, because
yeah.
obviously she was a young Bette Midler in that. So I didn't realize she did anything before that, but she was quite young in this one. But if you ever hear her speak about like her younger years, she tries to blank them all out because she was pimped out by her parents, as far as she's concerned. She was one of these people.
There's a lot of actors who were coming out.
Yeah, she's if you've ever watched her podcasts, like
Mhm.
you can watch them live or you can listen to them, and they are ever so interesting. And she doesn't hold back about her addictions,
Mhm.
and how like her with her religion. And I'm not one who listens to religion speak, but she's very respectful with it. She doesn't flood you with information, but if you asked her a question, she's very factful. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
She's very, and I quite enjoy the fact that it's not like a sermon; it's like a education.
Yeah. The
So
more you know.
yeah, so
Yeah,
I'm quite interested.
I didn't see when Dan probably saw a better version of this, even though we watched the exact same movie, because I watched something that looked like it just been pulled out of 1988. Dan watched the cleaner up version, and that's the one thing I regret. I mean, I regret a lot of things about this film, but that is the one thing I do kind of regret is I didn't get a cleaner picture because some of the things were distorted to where I couldn't quite make them out, and I did not see her. It wasn't until I was watching a video of like 10 things you didn't know about Pumpkinhead, and it's like, oh, Mayim Bialik, okay, interesting. So yeah, she's one of the kids who's picking on Dick. But an incident occurs where the dirt bikers end up killing a Milky Bar kid. Again, not made very clear when it happens.
No, he just falls over.
He just don't
Every
know how
time.
it happens
No,
because
he
they're just
basically
circling them.
the dirt biker jumped off a hill because his dog ran away, so he ran after his dog. And then the one dirt biker jumped and missed him, and then the second dirt biker jumped and he just fell down. And he didn't hit him face on. It's like the dirt bike went past the little Milky Bar kid's face, and the kid just fell on the floor. And I was like, "So is he dead or is he maimed? I don't really
Yeah.
understand what just happened there.
I was
Is
saying
he alive?"
when it's the reaction of Lance Hendrickson throughout the whole interaction, because he just walks to his kid, kneels down, picks him up, puts him in the car, doesn't fuss or anything over him. So you just think he's injured, and then he
Yeah.
goes to another.
Haggis.
Well, he goes to a man fest to go and find out where Haggis is. Oh, she's fucking class. When she came on that screen and started talking, I went, oh, yes, I get you. So yeah, he goes to a man to find out where Haggis lives.
No, who thought of that? I mean, good God, but yeah, okay.
Yeah. And because he wants to use her magical powers to bring back his son. That's the first time you think, oh shit, that kid's dead. The Haggis then turns around and says, I will not bring your son back. However, though, if you go and grab a dead body out the graveyard, I'm going to use your blood and his blood, and we're going to create something, and you can get your vengeance. And Lance I mean, why? Why she didn't just say, yeah, no worries, I'll do that. Because she was going to bring someone back.
Yeah.
She was going to bring somebody back. Why couldn't it have been the kid? But no, she has to bring back vengeance in the form of Pumpkinhead. But Lance Hendrickson, all out with the idea. Yep, let's do this.
Well convinced it's a good idea.
Yeah, and then you get introduced to that fucking fabulous creation. I'm sorry, this film's dog shit, but that creation is unreal. And there is
first, when he first digs him up out of the pumpkin, that set there I thought was amazing.
Yeah.
With the big tree rooty thing which he was buried inside of with all the pumpkins on. If you noticed, and I this is the first time that my brain went, oh, maybe they drew inspiration when they did this other movie to get there. But when they pulled the corpse of a young Pumpkinhead out of the ground, didn't you think he looked like Sam from Trick or Treat?
I did, and I wondered. I wondered to myself, is that where the inspiration came from? Because
Yeah.
the reason Pumpkinhead is called Pumpkinhead is solely based on the fact that he came from a pumpkin field. So
Yeah.
if he came from any other field, that's what he would have been called.
Cabbage.
Yeah.
Head.
Cabbage head.
It's very literal.
It really, really is. But yes, I did. For all that, the shape was, I could make the shape out. It's the detail I couldn't quite make out on
Yeah.
on my copy, but I could make the shape out. And yes, it kind of does. So it probably is where it got its inspiration from. Must have been.
Yeah.
Probably is. Yeah, he had to have been a fan of that.
Mm.
Why would you? If you're looking at pumpkins or pumpkin heads while you're creating your pumpkin head person, that is something that you could take reference from.
I know
Well,
that Stan got quite like insistent that he didn't want a pumpkin for a head.
no,
He was
no.
like, I'm not having Sleepy Hollow, Ichabod Crane, because obviously the book has been in existence for longer than the movie.
Yeah.
And obviously this movie came out before Sleepy Hollow as we know it.
Uh-huh.
But the tradition of the Headless Horseman was the pumpkin head thing. And he was like, I don't want that because you're going to confuse genres. You're going to, you know, the whole thing. And I just liked how they got where they got, but you never really find out how they got that far. Like from
because there's no fucking explanation in this film whatsoever.
no.
So he goes on his vengeance. Lance Hendrickson has a change of heart, and I mean, why he didn't do why he didn't do it in the beginning? I'll never know. Why he didn't shoot himself in the beginning? I'll never understand. But he waits till the end of the movie. Lance Hendrickson kills himself, which then ends Pumpkinhead. Movie's over. That is Pumpkinhead laid out right there.
Except he kills himself. Pumpkinhead sets on fire, and then Lance turns into Pumpkinhead, and they bury Pumpkinhead at the end. They bury Lance at the end, so he can grow into the new Pumpkinhead for the next person.
Well, I missed that bit.
Yeah. Basically,
I totally missed that bit.
He dies, and Pumpkinhead dies, and then
I saw that, but then
Pumpkinhead sets on fire, and then Lance is just left there. So Haggis picks up Lance, walks into
I
the
never saw
pumpkin
any
patch.
of this.
Yeah, walks into the pumpkin patch, puts him in, and you know it's Lance, even though he's starting to look like Pumpkinhead because he's got that necklace his kid made on, Pumpkinhead.
I'm not joking.
Flicking stuff on him, and that's the end then.
The copy I watched, when Lance falls to the ground, the fucking credits come up.
Maybe it was an extended version I saw, I don't know. But yeah, that's what happened. So Lance,
I know I miss shit in films. That was very evident when we did the Army of Darkness review the other day, because I didn't know that was Evil Ash. So we know this happens, but I'm not joking. When Lance Hendrickson hit the floor, the credits came up.
Yeah.
It had the vision of the house, and then the credits rolled. I am not making this shit up, but that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. So they
as to how we came back in the sequels.
Yeah. Oh.
Yes. Well, one of them is a sequel. One of them is the
Blood Wings 2.
The director movie, the TV movies. They weren't like actual movie theater movies.
Ashes to Ashes, which was 3, and Blood Feud, which was 4, were both made for TV.
Yeah.
And they were the ones that Lance Hendrickson was so ashamed of. He snuck out the back door from the viewing, so he didn't have to do the Q&A because he was so embarrassed.
Oh man, so... own it. Just own it. But I want to talk a little bit about Stan Winston, but not too much about Stan Winston, because I really want to do a deep dive on this man. When you hear anyone talking about the set of this movie, there is not one bad word. No. There is not. From all accounts, this was the funnest, and that's the word they used, funnest set to be on, because Stan Winston wouldn't have it any other way.
Yeah. And he kept within budget. He was one of the very rare directors that didn't go over budget. He stayed under budget.
Do you know why that is?
Well, he kept
because he did everything himself.
And he kept everything in time. He didn't run late for the studio. Everything was clockwork, and everybody was working. There was no no feuds, no you couldn't. Nobody had like you're saying. There was no bad word to be said about.
There was
working
no
on that set.
backstabbing. Stan knew when to walk away, especially from the team that he had in place for the makeup.
Yeah.
Bearing in mind what this man has actually created in his time. I can't, there's so many things that you could say he did this, but I will never not get over the fact he made that T-Rex in Jurassic Park.
Yeah.
That's
it's
what I
one-
can't get my head around.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, the T-Rex came after, obviously, after Pumpkinhead. It's 5 years after, I think. It was 94, wasn't it? Jurassic Park.
Yeah.
93, 94, something like that.
Yeah.
So it came 3-4 years after Pumpkinhead. But it the feat of engineering to be coming off the back of an Oscar in 1986 for Aliens, I think it was 86. I knew you had an Oscar in 86. I don't know if it was specifically for Aliens itself, but I know Aliens was coming off the back of that, and obviously working with Lance in that as Bishop, he had a good working relationship with Lance, and
he did.
Lance knew how to act with the xenomorphs, which is where I think he heavily got inspired, or they got inspired.
Look at the shape of and you were absolutely right. The way it's the curve.
Yeah.
It's the way the whole top part curves round, and you see the movement of it, and you think, oh my God, that is a fucking Xenomorph. You would think that was a Xenomorph if you didn't see what it actually was.
Yeah. I mean, he let this isn't a hark back to another one of our other episodes, because we've done Aliens, but this is another one. Tom Woodruff Jr., who was the guy who played Pumpkinhead. He also designed the body of Pumpkinhead, and I want to say Alex Gillis or something like that. I've written it down. Hang on a second. Alec Gillis designed the face. So he had two guys working on the body, like the body and the face. And Tom Woodruff Jr. was actually the guy who played Frankenstein in I want to say, was it it was one of the characters. I think it was Frankenstein in
wasn't it Monster Squad?
Monster Squad, yeah. He did something in Monster Squad. It was either it was Gillman. He did Gillman in Monster Squad, sorry, my bad. And
that kind of makes sense.
Yeah, so he knew, because Stan Winston obviously did Monster Squad.
This is the reason why I want to do a proper deep dive, because the list of movies he's done, yes, we've covered some, but oh my God. And by all accounts, this man was a fucking treasure.
Yeah, I mean, no, like I say, he got his star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. I think it was a year or two just before he passed away, because he died in 2008 now. I didn't realize it was that long ago. I knew it was long, but yeah, Tom Woodruff Jr. anyway was like, he was one of his biggest sculptors at the time, and he trusted Tom and he trusted Alex with taking control of Pumpkinhead. He had a couple of loose sketches. They ran past him and he was like, yep, make this a bit longer, make that go, and then we'll see how it goes. And there's a video on YouTube where you see it's one of the, because Stan Winston's school still runs to this day, so you can do online courses.
Yeah.
So they had an online video of how they made Pumpkinhead through the Stan Winston School of whatever it is, arts. And you see Tom and Alec and the two other guys, Shane and I've forgotten the other guy's name. I'm so sorry. But they you see them blocking out the form of the body, like with foam, and they make the legs go backwards, and they made it very clear that he was always going to be on wires. He was never going to be able to walk on the stilts. They wanted that dog leg. They wanted that really weird looking leg to look so unnatural and creepy, and that's why when he walks he's not very fast. You don't see him run. However, I want to know, Sammy, how did he get on the roof and in the tree so quickly?
Magic.
Because I was like,
pure Harry Potter magic.
It's just like he was always reaching down to kill them, wasn't he? Like if he
was very high up. To Tom Woodruff Jr.
Yep.
God rest him. God bless the man. Went through a very Jack Pierce moment in this movie, as he was glued into the suit all day from start to finish, because what they wanted to do was get around wear and tear. Because taking it on, taking it off, they wanted to try and keep the material in a great condition. So he went through a Jack Pierce school of makeup and was glued into that suit. I would urge anybody to even just look at images of Tom sitting in this suit, just sitting in a director's chair, because you just sit there and go, what the fuck am I looking at? It was like when I watched the documentaries when we did the Xenomorph episode. Xenomorph?
Either or.
Yeah. When I looked at images of the alien queen, and I'm sitting there going, oh my god, that's like that. It's unreal to my eye. I can't quite describe how I feel when I'm looking at stuff like that. And it was the same when I saw Pumpkinhead just casually walking around set, like, just look at me.
Yeah, he's Tom is one of these people that he's because he understands the process. He's a patient character performer.
Yeah.
So he understands the necessity of being in there all day and stuff like that. But I did notice that Pumpkinhead 2, it wasn't Stan, it was Greg Nicotero.
Yeah.
Pumpkinhead 2. And they allowed the guy to take his head off constantly. So it was on like a...
Oh, so they made it more accessible.
Yeah, so it didn't differ too much. So they must have allowed the design to carry over. But I did notice that in 1 and 2, what they did was they sat the head of Pumpkinhead on the head, so the eyes of the person is in the neck.
Yeah.
So the head itself is literally sat on the head of the actor with the animatronics in the mouth, which is about here. And the eyes are in the neck, so they're in like tiny little crease folds. So they must have had only like
not a great deal to work with. Not a great deal to work with. What got me, though, about the design of Pumpkinhead is the fact that his face changes throughout to start to look more and morph into Lance Henriksen, which towards the end, when it's the pointy nose, and it's like, oh no.
It's very unpleasant to look at, wasn't it?
Not nice. Not nice. Beautiful to look at, the detail and everything, because he starts off as his face starts to morph into the more the movie goes on and the vengeance starts to take place, his face starts to morph, which I think is a really good plot point. This is what I mean, there's stuff to work with in this film.
That's where this is why didn't make any sense to you, I think, because this is where you see he's starting to take the form, they're starting to become the same thing, because Lance's face starts to change. So Lance's face starts to morph as well. So
totally makes sense. But what about the kid? Just imagine though, if, because it's the kid's blood as well in there, if the face started to turn into the Milky Bar Kid.
Some glasses appeared on Pumpkinhead. Some proper
that would have been a film. That would have been a movie.
But did you see, right, Lance was dead against this film. He weren't interested. He read the script. He was like, what?
Is this what got him?
Yeah. Like, he was like, what the hell are you trying to make me? No. And then they go, well, give the script a proper read over. Stan's made some changes, which he had at the point. He said he wanted it to be darker. It wasn't dark enough. And I don't think he meant dark as in
the scenery.
Yeah, I think he meant like it needs to be more sinister dark, and then he did that one scene with him and his kid where his kid sits up and says, what have you done, Daddy? What have you done? And his kid's dead. And he's like having some sort of hallucination of some kind. I'm not really sure what the hell went on there. And like, the kid woke up and was like, the Milky Bars are on me. And he was like, no.
And dead again.
Do it. Yeah, and then he was dead again. and dead again. That was the scene that hooked
That's the scene that got him. That's the one where he went, yeah, I'm going to do this now.
He said it was so scary he had to sleep with the light on. And I'm like, come on now.
Oh, no.
No, come on now, Lance. I mean, No,
you did Aliens, for fuck's sake. No. I
mean, I love Lance. Lance and Rob are, every time Lance sees Rob, he gives him a big hug. Lance is one of the nicest people.
I love the fact that you can say that. And it's real.
Honestly, he's one of the nicest people in I've ever had the pleasure to meet. Like I said, batshit crazy. He was next to Ash from Pokemon at one of the shows we went to, and he had, the voiceover.
Yeah. What a great combination. Lance and
it's so bizarre because like at one point we looked over and he had like Lance had like a big old sprig of clover coming out of his head that one of the guys on Ash's table had put on his head, and he's like, I like it, it's staying there. So for the photo shoot, he had a big sprig of clover coming out of his head at Rhode Island Comic Con one year, and we were like, Okay. All
Why
right.
not?
This is a thing, is it? Right.
Why not? Why not? Yeah, I will never get my head around the fact that that's what got him on board. But do you know what the original title was meant to be for Pumpkinhead?
I do, and I don't like it as much. I have to be honest.
I like it.
It makes sense for a movie,
Uh-huh.
but I don't think it would have been as commercially.
Oh no. What do
What's
you
the
think
word I'm
Pumpkinhead
thinking?
is?
Yeah, short and sweet. There you go. It is what it is.
It's Vengeance the Demon.
Yes.
And again, this is not an episode where my English has failed me. That is actually the title. Vengeance the Demon.
It does sound like a Dario Argento movie.
Yeah.
Or something,
Yeah.
like some sort of Italian horror that gets lost slightly in the translation.
Yeah.
I don't.
Like
I
Troll
think
2.
exactly like that. Yeah, I think a lot of this is weird because it's what they reckon was the reason why this film didn't do fantastic was because DEG, who had the licensing for it,
Oh, yes.
the studio. I can't remember if they were the distributors or if they were the studio.
They were the distributors. This is so interesting.
Yeah, they went absolutely belly up, and they were just set to take on Bill and Ted's Excellent
Yep.
Adventure before they went belly up. Now Orion bailed out that one and gave Bill and Ted as much money as possible, and it
Mm-hmm.
became the success it was. But United Artists took this one, and
Mm-hmm.
United Artists ploughed next to nothing into it. So the little dribble of cash that DEG had put into it, I think it was like De Laurentiis or something like that, Entertainment Group.
Is
I don't know
that the
that long.
name? Do you know what's so funny? It's the second time that name has come up because Dino De Laurentiis is the guy behind Army of Darkness.
I wouldn't be surprised. But yeah,
So
it's
I
called the
just
DEG Group, the Dealer
mm-hmm.
Entertainment Group. But yeah, the little dribble they did, they invested in a very small run in 1988 of small cinema run, and it was very stale. But obviously there was no money to push the publicity for the movie.
There's not enough money in the world that would have done this movie.
They were hoping because of the success of Stan and hoping because of the success of what they could bring to the table in the way of monsters. They were looking for that next monster movie. And I do think this would have had the money behind it, no matter how bad it is. Because you watch anything now, like even like the original Texas Chainsaw or the original Nightmare on Elm Street, they all have their bits where you're just like, the first time I saw this, I shit my pants. This is terrible. They have their moments, don't they? I mean,
Yeah.
I know the moments in this supersede the good moments, in my opinion.
Yeah.
This movie was dreadful plot wise, and it was poorly acted by everybody, even Lance.
Yeah. You could tell that Lance, he was so uninterested.
He's
Even the
better
whole
than this movie.
so much better than this movie. And it's like, oh, what have you it was the whole when he was like, what have I done? What have I done?
It seemed
It was
like
so stale.
he was either overacting, like the scene where he goes back to
Oh
Haggis.
God, when he gets nuts.
Yeah. I was like, where did that come from?
Do you know what it reminded us of? Do you know the end of Poltergeist where he's like, you left the bodies, you took the headstones, but you left the bodies, and then you hear Greg T. Nelson, is it Greg T. Nelson? Just scream, why? Why?
I remember that. Yeah.
It's that moment. Do you know the worst part about it? That whole scene. It's a brilliant scene with Ben. It is Greg T. Nelson, isn't it?
I think so.
Poltergeist, yeah.
I'm not very good with summer names, so.
But yeah, I'm sure it is. And they cut away when he's screaming, why? So you did. And it's like, oh, that was his moment, man. Like you
Probably
just
down
totally,
on his knees, giving it a platoon moment, you know.
you've totally taken it away from him. They don't even show it. But yeah, he has one of those moments in this movie where he's just screaming at an old woman. Hey, the makeup on Haggis, wow.
Yeah, I've got some little facts about that, which was apparently the woman that played her, his name was Florence Schaufler. I do apologize. She was 6 feet tall.
Yeah, she's tall.
She was 68 years old. and the
Oh.
suit weighed 70 pounds.
Ooh. Hey.
And she was 68 and she took it
Yeah.
like a champ. Apparently, Shane, the guy who worked on the body and also worked on haggis, he primarily took had haggis, and he said when he was putting the makeup, when she came in for a head casting, a live cast, he said she was in character. She never dropped character. We never saw what she was actually really like. She was, from the minute she walked in to get her head cast, she was playing with us all. He said, I never
That
knew.
is so, I would have been so freaked out, because if you have seen this, just her accent alone is terrifying.
Plus the wispy hair and the
makeup on her is absolutely tremendous. I want to make this very clear. This movie, like I said earlier, this movie is a whole load of dog shit, plot-wise, but visual practical effects is some of the best. You will not get this today. I'm putting that out there. This is some of the best practical effects in movie history.
The thing that gets... Go on, sorry.
No, go on.
No, I was just gonna say the thing that gets me about it though is that I think like the amount of Stan isn't a horror guy. That's Tom's realm. Even Rick admits that's not his cup of tea either, but he does little bits. Stan is your sci-fi king. He's your monster man. You know, he pulled off some scary buggers. Don't get me wrong, he really has. That Predator he's responsible for. Terminator. I mean, I know Terminator is not a monster technically; it's a fucking robot, but you know, it is what it is. But he's responsible for such icons up to that point that everybody had doubts because they didn't think he could pull off a traditional horror, and I still don't think he managed it because it's not, in my opinion, written well enough for you to see it as a horror. I think it seems a bit more of a comedy, like whether it was intentional or not, I don't know. I just
that might actually come down to the score of the movie,
right?
Because the score of the movie was done by Richard Stone. What's Richard Stone famous for, Dan?
Love you, bye. Animaniacs.
He was a Warner Brothers musician. So Animaniacs, anything to do with like Bugs Bunny and stuff like that. The guy who created the score is him.
When I saw that, I mean, literally, that is something me and my sister have always said to each other when we leave the room. And it's that skit of the little girl with the wolf, you know, that in Animaniacs. Love you, bye. And it's stuck, it's just stuck. And when I saw that, I was like, oh, for God's sake. I think they even mentioned he's something to do with SpongeBob at one point.
Yeah.
So I was like sitting there going, oh, well, that kind of, he didn't get the sinister vibes. It was like, I'm surprised they didn't do like Tom and Jerry. Dun, 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 dun.
Oh, and had a few winks in there.
That's the question I had, right? And this is a genuine question. When when he appears, you hear the spider noise. Why do you hear the spider noise? I think it's even like a xenomorph noise, you know, that really high-pitched noise they use. And I can't describe it any other way.
I know exactly what you mean, though.
If you watch Arachnophobia, I know that that's the noise they make for spiders. So that's why I'm like, the spider noise. But like, I don't understand the choice of that for Pumpkinhead, because he's not spidery. He's not. It's not that. He's not got tentacles, and that's what you feel like that would. I feel like they used a very similar noise in Aliens, and they just brought it back because it worked. Maybe
they needed some kind of noise for movement, and that's what they could come up with given what they had just previously done. Because the team that worked on this is Stan Winston's team, am I right? So they've been with him, so it would make sense, kinda.
Yeah, well,
I mean, does anything make sense in this movie?
I know that Tom and Alec had just come off of Predator, and Shane and the other guy that worked with Shane had just come off of Aliens.
All these guys have got some big credentials to their names, like.
So they both come off the back of these great big movies. So they were somewhere in between, like having to deal with the Jean-Claude Van Damme bullshit and the remaking of the whole suit for Predator, and then coming out of Aliens and having to make 30 different kinds of effects, and just like,
If you want any more information on the Predator debacle, please go and visit our episode with Creature from the Black Tattoo, where we talk all about it. What a shameless plug.
and there's also a Xenomorph Aliens episode as well, if you so fancy it. But yeah, it's it's so hard to take one look at this monster and think, you deserve better. You know,
Yes.
this monster it's unlike anything I've ever seen, in the respect of that. Whilst I say yes, okay, Xenomorph, the face wasn't. The face, the idea and the concept is there. Let's dig up this demon and we'll give it blood and it will take the vengeance out, and when it dies you will take its place, but you don't realize that's the deal until after you've given it your blood, and that's the exchange. You become the demon, you take its place, so you get buried in the pumpkin patch when your time has come. So
which makes a lot of sense now.
Yeah. it the amount of work, the amount of time and effort, the amount of the team, the provenance this whole movie has as a whole, with the creme de la creme of the people that have worked on it, and just you sit there and you go, how did it get to this? Was it over edited? Did they just miss?
No, I really don't think that's the case at all. I don't think there's any real good explanation for it. It doesn't feel like a studio came in and said, do X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
It really doesn't. I generally believe that Stan Winston wanted to do this solely for the monster.
Yeah, I mean, it makes perfect sense. I mean, I did see a goof, right? And I'm not entirely sure if this is correct or not, because I watched it, I didn't see it, but then I wasn't looking for it. I'm usually quite good at picking up on things, though. But then this film didn't really hold my attention when the monster wasn't on screen. So there's a scene where Pumpkinhead's walking through the abandoned church and he's coming through the door, and it's all blue lit behind him. It's the most famous shot of the movie.
It's beautiful.
It's so well done. But apparently he's got Nike trainers on, and you see a shot of the trainers. And then there's another scene where Lance has got the hillbilly kid, the redneck kid, taking him to Haggis's, and you can see in the wing mirror the cameraman. And it's like, they're little continuity errors, if they are in there, without me going back and watching to confirm. I'm not 100% sure, but they're things that, as Stan, as a first-time director, maybe didn't get someone to. I mean, I don't know how big continuity was back then, if it was like as.
It's not like it is. I doubt it is like it is now.
Yeah.
We're in the end of the 80s. Like, it's just shit fantastic, as Paul would call it. But I do genuinely believe that this is the heart of this goes to the monster itself. Because let's be honest, when the acting, oh God, let's just talk about the acting for a second. So Lance Hendrickson's lack of it, for a guy who he looks like he's a single father. So there's questions around the fact that the mother's not there. So, and his son's died. He's gone to a witch who said, listen, I ain't going to give you your son back, but if you go on, get in that field, we'll create something really special to get your vengeance on the people who took your son. There is not one bit of fucking emotion that runs through him. I mean, apart from the point where he like kind of loses his shit, but he never like. He's just, there's nothing behind. He's like, he's dead inside.
Yeah.
And if that's what he was going for, well done. You played it off absolutely brilliant. But if it, like, your son died and he's just driving along like nought's wrong, and he's got a dead boy sat next to him.
For me, there was a scene in it which I did not like. And I am very, very confused as to why someone like Stan would have let it in. I mean, I know it's it was probably just like a character establishing plot line for us to understand what kind of an absolute piece of shit he was. But the guy, was it Joel, the guy who supposedly killed
The one who
Billy
didn't want to
Bucket?
ring the police on because he was on parole anyway.
When he goes to escape, he's got his bike magically back within seconds, chained up onto the back of the trailer, and he goes to go in and get in his Trans Am or whatever car it is he's got. But he beats the shit out of his girlfriend, and like she's on the floor and he's smashing it. I'm like, whoa.
Yeah.
Even that in today's movies, you don't see that. And I was just like, I know 80s of it all, but like Stan Winston, what I that one just,
Why would you do that?
but it seemed like it really excessive compared to all the other things that happened. None of that seemed like
It looked like they put more effort into that than the actual what was going on with the witch.
just that, yeah, the whole like
Because
teenage dynamic.
it was too blasé for it, and he accepted that really quickly, that was kind of like the thing we need to do is go and dig up this body in the field. He was very quickly accepting of that.
But apparently he was the kid at the beginning. One of these many top something
Oh,
said that the kid at the beginning,
yes,
Mummy,
that's
Daddy,
right.
what's going on? And Lance was supposed to be him, so he did know of
Yes,
Pumpkinhead.
that's right. So why was Pumpkinhead out in the first place? This is what I can't get around. This is why the whole front opening scene makes no sense to me, because Pumpkinhead isn't out until Lance brings him out.
Yeah, so someone has brought him out.
Ah, right. So he's been reused.
Yeah, basically what happened was, and I'm not sure if you have to forgive me because I can't remember what he looks like, but I'm pretty sure it might be Dick Warlock at the beginning. The guy that's pounding on the door.
Yeah.
Now you hear him scream to the dad of Lance Henriksen in there saying, I didn't kill them kids, or I didn't kill them people, or something along those lines. So someone has obviously brought Pumpkinhead back to get their vengeance on this guy. But yeah, if you don't know who Dick Warlock is, he's one of the Michael Myerses, and he is royalty when it comes to stunts. He has been in every John Carpenter movie from here to Back and Beyond. Every movie you can think of, that man has been in. But then it's also a weird connection to the other 2 or 3 movies that have come out, because you've also got Jason, Kane Hodder was in number 2.
Kane Hodder's in number 2.
R.A. Miloff. I can never pronounce his surname, so I do apologise. Who was Leatherface.
Yeah.
And you've also got Doug Bradley in 3, and he was obviously Pinhead.
You've got
icons all in the movies. So they're like, it's crazy, like royalty.
I knew about Kane Hodder.
Yeah.
And I knew about the Michael Myers guy. Again, if you want to go and listen to a Michael Myers episode, we have one available for you to do so. Quite recent, actually. But I didn't know about Leatherface or Pinhead. Now that is some high-end royalty in really shit sequels.
But the thing is about R.A. is that him and Kane are in the Hollywood Ghost Hunters together. They have their own paranormal group. Have you not heard of this? This is fascinating. There's 4 or 5 of them, and they're all Michaels, Jasons, Leatherfaces. There's like a small group of them, and they're called Hollywood Paranormal or the Hollywood Ghost Hunters or something. And they had a small limited run season. So if you have a naughty stick, you'll probably find it somewhere, where they did about 2 or 3 episodes where they go on and do ghost, like proper like paranormal ghost hunting. It's dead serious. But I just watched it because I was so fascinated. I was like, oh my God, that's Kane Hodder. He's got a peak. You know, he's walking around with his little gadgets. Oh my God,
did he have his little leather gloves on?
Yeah, he did. Yeah. And you know, it's one of those things that to this day, like I think it's great. And R.A. and him are definitely in it. And I want to say Tony Moran might be in it.
What?
In the group. Yeah, it's crazy. But if you do a Google to find out the name of it, it's Hollywood Paranormal or Hollywood Ghost Hunters or something like that. So if you want to find something, you might even be able to find it on YouTube, to be fair.
Oh my God. Well, we've just purchased a brand new telly, and within that brand new telly came this amazing app, and it's free. and it's all above board.
Yeah.
But the movies in there, it's all old B movies. But there's also some YouTube specials as well. So I wonder if
You never know.
it's in there. I'm going. Hang on. I've just got to. Did you say what Hollywood was?
It's either Hollywood Paranormal, Hollywood Ghost Hunters. If you put in something like that and then just put Kane Hodder in, it should bring up the group that they were in.
Hollywood Ghost Hunters.
There you go.
Oh my God. There is YouTube videos.
Yeah.
I am going to go and look into this at some point.
It's actually not bad. I'm not a big fan. I used to be when these TV shows first come out. I really got into like, Ghost Hunters Taps. I was into like
yeah, and then Zach Bagans came along and fucked everything up and ruined it all.
I actually liked the first couple of seasons.
It's not actually too bad.
It got worse and worse and worse, and then I got banned. I literally, he blocked me on Twitter after I commented on something, and he didn't like what I put, and he asked me what the hell I was talking about. So he blocked me on Twitter, which is fucking brilliant. And then I went to his museum when we were in Vegas, and it's all a big farce. And I'm walking around, and he treated this poor woman like shit when we were in there, and I was just like, "You are a douche.
You are an absolute dickhead.
But the best. Have the day you deserve."
Have the day you deserve. You absolute piece of shit who exploited your friend's murder. Yeah, I will never forgive him for that. I will never forgive him for my time in Demon House.
Oh, where he went blind? Okie dokie.
Go fuck yourself.
And I liked all of them. I like Dead Files. I like Kindred Spirits. There's so many of them I really enjoy.
I was a big fan of Most Haunted.
I liked Most Haunted. I actually went and saw Derek Acora live.
Me too.
That was the day I decided he was full of shit, when I saw him live. A woman got food poisoning. She was thrown up in a handbag about 3 rows in front of us.
Oh my God, he didn't tell you he was pregnant.
No, he went over and told her it was the spirits coming through her, and I was just like,
fuck off. Oh, we went to see him at Sunderland Empire, and it was one of those occasions where my mum thought it was a good idea to cut caffeine out, and she had a raging caffeine headache. And that poor woman spent the entire night with her head like leaned over on us, and she just wanted that time to end. She was, and so did I. For the whole different fucking reasons. I've seen a couple of
when he's up there going, "Oh, someone with the name of S, get in the bin." I mean, how many people on average in that room?
Well, I was one of them.
Exactly.
Well, I was definitely one of them.
I honestly think if you genuinely believe in them, and you genuinely want to give your money, and you're happy with that choice or that transaction, then good for you. If it gives you the sense of peace you need and what you're looking for, I will never hold that against you. It's the charlatans that exploit people for the money, for the fame, the Derek Acoras of the world. I just don't. And the Zach Bagans of the world, I just don't. I think they are
I 100% agree with you. I 100% agree with you. I know a few people who, I've never been to one. I'm actually terrified to find out what someone's got to say about me on the other side. But I have heard a few people who've gone for actual closure, kind of help them with their grief closure. And I feel like if that's what you need, then that's what you need. Nobody can tell you how to get over grief. And there's one that's local to us, and she doesn't charge a penny. She just says, "Bring the biscuits for when we have tea." And that's it. And that I think, I want to believe so badly.
I've done ghost hunts. I've been on ghost hunts. I went to the Leicester. There used to be a Leicester asylum. And before they knocked it down and made it into apartments, they used to let the ghost hunting teams go around. And this woman kept telling me I had like a black mist following me the whole time. And I was just like, oh, it's nice, isn't it? That's wonderful. We went up and did one up in we did we did the coach place up near Alnwick.
Alnwick.
All right, I'm Southern. Yeah, you know, you had the I
know what you mean.
The pub there that is like 2,000 years old, and it was almost haunted. And we went and did one there, and the bullshittery of it all. Honestly, it was.
It's funny as fuck. If you go, so Chillingham Castle is a big one that Most Haunted did.
Yeah.
and I've been there a fair few times. If you actually read the literature that's around the rooms, it tells you that this used to be a half castle. The family who own it have rebuilt it, and subsequently, when it was rebuilt, the ghosts then appear. No, and oh yeah, did the bills come in? Yeah, there's some things I just find a load of shit, but at the same time, I'm like, I want to believe so badly.
I
I'm a
think
proper
with
sucker.
I think with like the connection of the provenance of the guys that are in or connected to this quadrilogy, though,
Yeah.
I mean it
Ooh,
makes you feel like,
quadrilogy.
well, it does. It makes you feel like, okay, well, there must be more to it. There must be substance. And that's why I thought to myself, right, I'll go and watch number 2. Could I find a copy? Could I find it on Amazon? Could I find it anywhere just to watch, stream, even buy the DVD? Right?
Yeah.
No.
No.
All I could find was the odd video on YouTube that was like, this is what I thought my reactions to watching this. And I was just like, well, there's no point in me doing that if I can't watch the film. So
Exactly.
I haven't seen 2, 3, and 4 because I couldn't find them.
No, there's a reason, because nobody wants you to watch them.
Correct. Because
It really, really is. It actually had a comic book release. They held a lot of stock in this to start with, and Dark Horse released was meant to be a 4-part run. And I swear the artwork, I've seen the artwork for issue 1, and it is fucking brilliant. It is so good. But because of how bad the movie did, they only did 2 issues. They didn't even finish the 4-part run off. And it's such a shame because the artwork in it, I don't know the story.
No, it was
but
called, the comic books were called The Rites of Exorcism. And that was 1993 they released it.
that's a good title. Not from Pumpkinhead, but that's a good title for a movie.
Yeah. And
I
then
like that.
2018, Dynamite published a like a half series of Pumpkinhead ones. So I haven't seen those, but
I
there's
didn't see them ones.
that artwork that you see everywhere with the Pumpkinhead. I know Cavity Colours bought the rights to that, so there is a whole set of merch where you can buy T-shirts with that beautiful image of the blue light and Pumpkinhead on and everything, with the proper face, not the weird Lance face.
No, the Weird Land. I actually don't mind the Weird Land's face. It is unsettling, but it's creatively it's brilliant.
Don't get me wrong. Yeah, exactly. From a standpoint of special effects, fantastic.
Yeah.
But it unsettled me to the point of where I was looking at it and thinking, oh no, no, I don't like that. I don't. Do you want to know the kill count across all 4 movies?
Oh, I actually have it as well. But yes, we have a little bit of a contender. We have a little bit of a contender. It's not the biggest, and it definitely won't hit, but it's still part of the kill count. 7
across all 4.
Oh shit! No, I only did 1. Okay, come on then.
Across all 4, 31.
Oh, okay.
31 kills across all 4. So I mean, from that standpoint, we're in the middle of the road of all the other guys for sure. We're in middle territory.
Question: have you actually kept a note of the kill counts we've mentioned thus far? Have you now? That is really interesting to know.
I don't have it on me now.
No. I just in general. I was
spreadsheet.
Of course, it's on a spreadsheet. Why would I think it's on anywhere else? But yeah, I was just thinking the other day. I was like, because I really want to go and do a kill count episode where we kind of like pit people against each other. And I was thinking, do I have to go back and watch all the ones we've done? I tell you what, I will do though. I will find the actual number for my Lord and Savior Claude Rains, because we've changed it every time we've fucking done an episode.
137. Yeah, I don't know.
122.
Yeah, somewhere around
something like that. He's still not the reigning champ. I mean, you'll always be my reigning champ, but he's not the reigning champ anymore. Well, that's a decent number.
Yeah,
I feel that's somewhere in the lines of like, oh god, I can't even think now.
We've done so many at this point.
Do you know what though? It's not getting to the point like with the Sunday episodes where they're kind of like amalgamating into one, and I'm like, genuinely can't remember half the stuff that I've done. I can kind of remember, apart from I forgot until we started recording, until you mentioned it, that we've done a Xenomorph episode. I was like, oh, that'd be interesting. Yep, we've already done that. That was episode 3.
It was one of the very beginning ones, yeah.
It's a good episode though. It's really interesting. I'm not like I've just gone the whole of this episode is me just pimping out all the rest of the episodes.
filling. She's filling it all up.
I mean, please don't leave this one. I'm talking about like afterwards. Stay with us for this. I know it's hard work, but stay with us.
Yeah, it's. I think I love for me. My come away from this is I love the design.
Mm-hmm.
I love the execution.
Yeah.
I love the set work. Like Haggis is in like this old bayou, like redneck, weird. Looks like she's got gators out the front, kind of.
Oh, it looks like she has them for pets.
Yeah. And I know that Lance went deep into the character, which is why I find this all very peculiar.
I would love to know where his headspace in it.
He had teeth made.
Really? Is that why?
Teeth. Yeah.
Yeah.
He had he went and purchased a World War II gun, which is the shotgun you see him using in the movie. Yeah. He then went and bought a load of silver dollars from pawn shops, and
I didn't get what that meant.
So when he paid Haggis, they were traditional to the time period.
Oh right, okay.
Because I couldn't work out for love nor money when it was supposed to be set. I mean, all the dirt biking teenagers, they look like 80s. They look like the time that it was set, but everybody else looked like it was like the 1950s.
Well, that's it. And this is what I was referring to with the kids. Like, where are these? When I say where are these from, it's like where in time are these children? Because they look like it's so poverty stricken. Like they are literally walking around with paper bags on their feet. But when you look at the dirt bike kids, they are your typical 80s children. The flannel shirts all look pretty up to date, like flannel shirts. So I don't know in the time of life where this actually fits in.
No. Can we talk about the kills of the teenagers?
Why not?
They voted the first teenage kill of Stephen as officially the most atrocious kill in a horror movie.
In horror?
That year. I think it was that year, or it was something along those lines, because for two reasons: he kept blinking after he died, and he kept breathing, and you can see it happen. The guy who played Stephen, which was the little brother of the arsehole, he was terrible at acting. I think he was a favor to somebody who was given a part. I think he was nepotism.
Can I ask, nepo baby? Can I ask why there was two kids locked in a cupboard? What did they do? Were they the ones who wanted to ring the police?
Yeah, so
that's what you do. That's what you do. You lock them in a cupboard. It's good. It's good to know.
When it came down to the last two kids, which was the girl that was trying to help, because you always get the one survivor, and the guy with the curly hair.
Yeah.
The guy with the curly hair is actually he actually played a couple of years before a young Christopher Reeve. He was Clark Kent, wasn't he? I was like, I didn't see it until they flashed up a picture of him with the wig on or dyed hair or whatever, and I was like,
he was in something else as well. But yeah, that's what he was mainly known for, as a young Clark Kent. I was going to say something.
Sorry,
no, it's gone.
But the kids, like the one kid he took the most time with was the one of them that didn't deserve that amount of time. Like the girl who just stood there and was screaming all the time.
Yeah.
And then he took the time and like carved the cross in her forehead with his fingernail and did all the. And I'm like, you toy with someone like that who's the arsehole, the main arsehole.
The main one.
But he got a very disappointing death, in my opinion. He got stabbed with the shotgun.
Yeah.
That was about it. And then something happened. But like the gore.
Was the gore? Because to be honest, on my copy that I watched, there was no gore in that.
There was literally minimal to no blood. So I don't know whether that was a choice for the whether it needed to be PG-13 or whatever. Yeah. But all the kids, when they dropped to the floor when they were dead, just had minimal blood. Like she just had a cross carved into her forehead, which in theory, fantastically executed. Don't get me wrong. Great. But you've just been, I don't even know how they died. Do you know how they died?
I have no idea. No fucking idea.
the one that got stabbed with a shotgun. All the others, they just got lifted up by their heads
and then
got
disappeared.
scratched a bit, and then either fell on the floor or completely disappeared. And I was like,
so you got Pumpkinhead lifting them up with one hand, and then that's it.
yeah, it
Dropping
looked
them.
like they'd been like in a fight with a cat, you know, and then they were laying on the floor, and I was like, none of these deaths, you could if this was Stan's choice, you could tell Stan wasn't a horror guy.
Yeah.
Because this wasn't
Yeah.
good. The deaths.
No, and you would think that Stan kind of like after this would have just went, you know what? This is where my love is the creation of the monsters, but the fucker went on to make another film that
Catchy as hell, this title, isn't it?
oh, can you see it? Because I haven't wrote it down.
A gnome named Norm.
No,
And it was it was, if any of you know Michael, oh god, he was in the Breakfast Club. He was also Weird Science.
Oh yeah.
Evil Dies Tonight.
Evil Dies Tonight.
That guy. He actually plays the lead, like a cop and the gnome, or they're like best buddies, and they go out, and this gnome thing looks a lot like the Dark Crystal gnomes, which was a good ensign work. So this is what I was like, what is that?
I only saw the front cover of it, and I was like, wow, like it just, do you know what, it just feels like you got done dirty somewhere, like it was punishment.
Something.
It was something. But then obviously he goes back into his realm of brilliance, and you get so much more from him, which we will cover in an episode. I'm 100% picking this one to do, because if you go on to Wikipedia and just look at the first few lines, and you're like, fuck me.
Yeah. Have you got the time? I have faux pas. I do think that whilst this was, I feel like this should be used as a teachable moment for people who maybe want to do more than one facet in filmland. You know what I mean? So you're a special effects guy. You
be a special effects guy.
You produced, you wrote, you directed.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe just the directing and maybe the special effects should have been where it was at. I do think the storyline lacked and the casting lacked. So in that respect, for the entire overall arcing of the film, I think the issues laid with the casting.
Yeah.
Because the acting just wasn't up to scratch.
Mm-mm.
And the storyline, because it felt so choppy. It didn't, there was no smooth ride.
The thing is, though, there are so many redeemable things that could be done in this movie. So many redeemable things, so many things that could have changed to make it. I personally wouldn't have had Lance Henriksen having a change of heart. I would have had him go full on fucking fledged into it, like, yeah, I'm gonna become this monster. It's like the human side of the monster, like the monster within kind of thing. And you start to see the physical toll happen on them, which is fucking genius. I can't believe I didn't see any of that. But it is a genius move as to, like, they're both transforming into each other.
Yeah.
I love that idea. I just wish I fucking saw it, for one. And I wish they kind of elaborated more on it throughout the movie, because if you just getting it at the end, there's the only way I knew that Lance Hendricksen's face was changing and morphing into Pumpkinhead is because I had to have it fucking pointed out to us. I didn't see it. I didn't notice it. It wasn't until after I watched a video, Minty. I will reference Minty. I love that guy. He does some of the best fact videos on YouTube, and he did this one, and he had the picture of the side by side Lance Pumpkinhead, and it's like, oh shit. Yep. And that's when it made us realize that maybe I should have seen a decent copy, because at the minute I told Dan I found a copy, here it is, and then as soon as the movie finished, I went, yep, don't watch that one, find another one.
Yeah, I watch a lot of Minty comedic arts. He's very, very good.
Love him.
He's an Australian guy, and as far as I know, he lives here in the UK, because he.
Oh, I did not know that.
Well, he came to LFCC last year.
Seriously?
Because Dave, he took a couple of photos and that he was at LFCC, and Dave tagged him in saying, "I'll come to my shop." my stall. I didn't see him,
Oh my
but he was there
God.
because he'd taken loads of photos. So I think he lives here or he comes here
That's
often.
that's
'Cause
brilliant. That.
whenever you see his outdoor shots, they don't look like Australia. Because I'm
I've
pretty sure he's
never, do you know what?
Australian.
I've only
So,
ever watched, I always thought he was one of those things that I found like and nobody else knew about. And I only ever watched his, top 10 facts on or what you didn't know about.
yeah.
And I love he's so dry. He's good, yeah. And this movie happened.
The only
His background set reminds me so much of yours as well, but it really does. But he is kind of like, he started off so small with like a lunchbox here and a little figure there, and then I watched the Pumpkinhead one. I was like, Minty got an upgrade.
and then that was about 2 or 3 years ago. He did that video. So by the time now, they it's
Yeah,
crazy behind him. But yeah, the only thing that annoys me about Minty's videos is the bloody mirrored sunglasses, and I can see your ring light and I can
yeah.
see your camera. Stop it.
I've got his music in my head now. Duh, 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 duh. He's really good, honestly. I highly recommend going watching some Minty's videos. Regardless of when they were recorded, he's still so consistent, isn't he? And he is dry as fuck. He's so funny. But he is my main source of information tonight.
I mean, I did watch that video myself, and every other video I watched was pretty much
The
exactly
same.
the same.
Yeah.
So I had to do a lot of internet story digging for the rest of the stuff because there was just not a lot out there. I was trying to find behind the scenes special effects videos, which you can normally find if you dig deep
Yeah.
on, but there wasn't that many. There was like maybe one or two of Tom wearing the prototype suit, and then Tom trying to learn how to walk on the stilts and in the harness. And then there was a couple of videos about how they've shown you how they painted the eyeballs that were in Pumpkinhead and how they had to make them look the same as Lance's contacts that he had in to show the correlation. See, this is why I don't think I'm adverse to a Pumpkinhead movie. I feel like if they took the original concept, the original storyline in the respect of the key factors, kid dies, parent wants vengeance, visits fucking Baba Yaga.
Parent didn't want vengeance originally. He didn't know he wanted vengeance until it was offered to him. But I would like to change it to he's not thinking about bringing him back. He wants punishment.
Yeah. So you got that, and then you got Baba Yaga's, and she's still there, and then you got the transition between the two turning into becoming one kind of thing. If they kept that plot points, I think it would be they could do something really bloody good with today's the writers that are out there, not including Jason Blum. I'm sure one day I'm going to get sued or cease and desist from Blumhouse.
Yeah, we'll probably get a message saying, moving forward in Monsters Up North, we will no longer be referencing any Blumhouse movies. The name affiliated with Blumhouse, as Dan has gone and said too much.
Shit the bed, yes. That's
But until that time, we'll fucking say what we want, Blumhouse. Actually, do you know what? I say that. It's me who likes them, it's her who doesn't.
Don't get me wrong, there's the odd cracker that comes along, like Black Phone. That was great.
Oh, you can't knock Happy Death Day. I don't care what you say. The first one's fucking brilliant.
Happy Death Day for me is a comedy. It's not a horror. Because it's so far-fetched and so fucking ridiculous. And
the second one is so far-fetched and very fucking ridiculous.
Time travel one.
Yeah. But the Groundhog Day effect, I actually really liked.
I think for me, it's just that they buy a concept or a IP for a hugely successful movie, and then they proceed to shit on it. And I don't know how you can do that. You have being Blumhouse and having the amount of money that you must have and the ability to get the best directors, the best actors, the best cinematographers, everything, and you still proceed to create the pile of shit that was Exorcist Believer. I mean, I can't get my head around that. I mean, not even in its own right was it good. It wasn't good. I struggle.
I actually enjoyed it first watch, but it was, and that's probably more. It was probably more the fact that I was getting an Exorcist movie.
Yeah.
When I really like spoke to people and broke it down and really looked at it again. I mean, Leslie Odom Jr. was fucking superb in that movie. I will not take that away from him. I actually really enjoyed his performance. But there was some key elements that I kind of like. I was like some things I was fogged over a lot by it, especially with the return of what's her name, the mom. Oh,
I can see her face.
see, I can hear
Yeah.
her voice. Hmm?
Yeah, her.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
mom being back. It's another Laurie Strode moment,
And
and
that's
I
what they're
was
trying to
totally
do.
fogged over by that.
I think the issue with that film was that when the original was made, Ellen Bernstein, no, Ellen Bernstein,
Yeah, no.
yeah.
Do you know what's so funny? My mouse mat is the movie poster and it has her name on the bottom.
Pretty sure it's Ellen Bernstein.
Yeah, Ellen Bernstein. First name on there. Fucking hell.
It's the fact that the first movie was adapted by William Friedkin, William Blatty, the whole,
The whole team.
the
Bloody
whole
wrote
thing.
the book, freaking
Yeah.
directed.
Now, bear in mind, the book was written from a perspective of somebody who was deeply religious. He was deeply Catholic, and then the book was written with that view in mind, that whole coming to realize that there was this whole other side of Catholicism and religion, and it was so deeply rooted in one man's experience or slash understanding.
Yeah.
Which we don't really get those movies anymore. It's all about the big bang and the big fuck and get it out.
Yeah, not substance. What he did was substance. What everyone else does is where can we get a twist in there? Where can we shock people? And especially in horror, where can we, because there's nobody is making a horror movie these days to physically scare anyone.
Yeah.
Unlike what The Exorcist did.
Yeah.
That physically frightened people. Nowadays it's just where can we shock people and where can we jump scare people?
Yeah. And
there's no substance.
No, it just gets to a point. I think so that for me, going into Believer, I thought that they would take not a similar approach, because obviously they can't rehash what's been done. But I was expecting some sort of I don't know. I just felt like there's
when you put this up against Pope's Exorcist, which was another one that came out in the same year.
Russell Crowe.
When Russell Crowe can shit all over an Exorcist titled movie, I fucking loved it. Yeah. There's something got to be said about that. Because he owned that role from the and do you know what I loved about that as well? And they never bring this up in possession movies a lot, is the mental health side of things.
Yeah.
And how a lot of possessions back in the day, I will say that in air quotes, were done when mental health wasn't even looked into. These people were probably going through psychosis, through other issues, and they would instantly just go, no, that's the devil.
Yeah.
That is the devil. And it was recognized and brought up in that movie. I fucking loved it. So yes, when you can have Russell Crowe shit all over an Exorcist title, questions need to be asked. And guess what, kids? There's 2 more of these movies coming out. It's going to be a trilogy. And it wasn't until I was speaking to people about it that I realized it's Halloween all over again.
That's the thing, and this is another reason why my dislike for Blumhouse, which I've actually been asked to go on a little podcast called Jeff and Friends, and he asked me, basically what you do is you talk about what you hate for 20 minutes, and then for 10 minutes you talk about how you can remedy that. And I've chosen Blumhouse as my subject.
Oh my god, that is... If you didn't, I'd call bullshit on whatever other topic you were going to pick, because I know how you feel about it.
I'm so passionate about this, and
really
I know it's an unpopular opinion, because if you're a horror whore, you take what you can get. You love it. And to a degree, I still do. I still will watch a lot of this stuff and then complain about it.
You were
But
going to say shit.
yeah, I was. But the thing is, they're not leaving a legacy
No.
for me. The Blumhouse movies, they don't leave legacies. They're either adaptations of someone else's work, or they are cheaply quick bang for your buck movies, because they're not the things. They're not these great big, like The Exorcist. They're not these, I don't know, these iconic
mammoth and iconic
you know,
movies, these
substance
titles. Yeah.
movies. They are these, like, let's just bang something out as quick as we can to get it in the cinema for Halloween, or for, Blumhouse
Yeah.
haven't had a movie out in 10 minutes. Oh God, we'll do Night Swim, the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man in the swimming pool. Get in the bin. Come on now. What?
I genuinely didn't watch that because Dan told me not to, and I went, okay, I trust your opinion. When it comes
Well,
down to anything done by them, I trust
I'm
her opinion.
honestly one of these people that say, don't listen to a word I say, go do what you want to do. Go watch what you want. I'm not a policeman. I'm not going to tell you you're stupid for doing it. That's not, these are my opinions, and my opinions only. These are how I feel about.
Oh my God, don't take me fucking disclaimer away from us.
But it's true. It genuinely, I feel like Pumpkinhead could have been a Blumhouse movie because of the plot line, because of the acting. It just seemed like
it wouldn't have been based on the practical effects that are done in that, because like I said earlier, you don't get into Days movies these practical effects that they pulled off. You don't. And I think Minty said it perfectly as well, that this is some of the best special effects that you will ever fucking see.
Yeah, 100%. Hands down, 10 out of 10 for the special effects. I genuinely think they got the creature chef's kiss. He's absolutely amazing. And like all the corpses and haggis, the amount of work that went. Imagine being 6 foot tall, 68, and carrying 70 pounds worth of fake.
I'm 5'9" and weigh what I weigh, and I find that fucking difficult. But if they remake this and they don't have the witches called haggis, I'm not fucking watching. Turn it straight off, because that name is amazing. I have one more interesting fact.
Yep.
The dog.
Oh yeah.
The dog. The dog mushroom. There is a doggy in this, and don't get it, he's fine. Just so all you people out there who are like me and incredibly sensitive when it comes to animals in movies, this doggy is perfectly fine, and was perfectly fine during the movie. This doggy is a famous doggy.
Mm-hmm.
Why is he famous doggy, Dan?
Because he was in Gremlins.
He was in Gremlins, and he did all of his own stuff. Yeah, that. He did all his own stunts in Gremlins, and he did all his own stunts in Pumpkinhead too.
He's lovely.
How amazing is that?
Dog. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. The dog was a better actor than most of the teenagers. So,
oh man, they really were. Like, honestly, this film is so cloudy, and I'm not talking about the actual the actual quality of what I watched. The whole thing itself is cloudy, it's muddled, it's messy, and for not the best reasons either. And the teenagers would just they just help that messiness. I will never understand how that kid died.
I don't understand how the kid died. I don't understand the point of there being 5 teenagers.
Yeah. Why did that one stay with him? And Lance Hendrickson never said a goddamn fucking word to him when he picked the kid up.
And how did he never said cabin? Yeah,
he never said, well, thank you, son. Thank you for watching my kid while he lay there dying. No, he just
death stare.
Fucked up. But he didn't even do that. There's no emotion whatsoever in Lance Hendrickson's face.
I
generally thought the kid scraped his knee.
And
he was being a bit dramatic
and banged his head. It wasn't like you said, it wasn't until the guy said, about the kid being dead, or go bury his son. I was like,
I said that to Ant. I went, he's fucking dead. He's just sitting in that car dead.
I mean, I was like, choices.
This movie you could just title Pumpkinhead ... choices.
I don't know whether it is genuinely down to the fact that Stan was a newbie director. This was his first go at directing.
Yeah.
He'd obviously written the script with a view to, in theory, on paper, this movie probably worked. You know, um,
100%. If you've got the synopsis of a kid's son gets killed, and he seeks vengeance from a witch who can bring back this fucking powerful demon shit, and there's consequences to the decisions that are made. That sounds fucking brilliant. But
Yeah.
what we got was not that.
We just got bad acting and weird editing. I do feel that the editing let it down, because unless they, like I say, unless that was intentional when they wrote it that way, I just feel like you miss big parts of like
I missed the whole fucking
dialogue.
end.
Yeah, well, but like there feels like there's like conversations that have happened, but you've not been a party to them.
No, yeah.
So you feel like you're missing something. And like,
Nothing was fleshed out. Do you know
yeah,
what? There's so much space in this movie that you could have filled it with dialogue. You really could have, because there's a lot of quiet moments. While the Looney Tunes guy is playing his bit in the background.
spider music, yeah.
Oh my God, when I read that, I nearly wet my pants. But there's a lot of empty space in there where dialogue could have been incredibly like more forthcoming, to where you flesh things out. There is nothing fleshed out in this movie at all. And there's so much that could have been like, and I'm not just talking about explanations, just giving you a fucking reason to care. Like, why do I care about the Milky Bar Kid being like venged? Like, why do I care about fucking Ed Hardy, Ed Harley,
Yeah,
Harley? Yeah. Why do I care
right.
about Ed Harley and the fact that his son's died? I don't give a shit, because you've not given me a fucking reason to.
Plus, there was not enough establishing time for you to even like the characters at the beginning, because it switches so much from the establishing of the story, which you don't even realize it's doing, because you don't see Pumpkinhead in that beginning bit, because obviously they're saving that for a reveal, which I understand. But you're supposed to know that that kid is Lance Henriksen, but you never find out it is Ed. You're just told it's Ed when you watch things back, to say that that was him when he was younger.
Really is.
And then that's why he's so acceptant of everything that happens, because he knows he's seen it, or he's heard of it, or I just think that like I say, there was chunks of conversations that I feel like they never had. You didn't have empathy for the guy that was knocking on the door, because you didn't know his story. You didn't have empathy for the family inside, because you didn't know why they weren't letting the guy in. Then when it switches so quickly to something that happens within maybe 20 minutes, half an hour, Lance Henriksen washing his hands in a bucket with his kid, and then next thing you know, the kid's being surrounded by all the potato sack wearing kids.
Do you know what? You are right about the editing. When I think about it, how fucking sack kids, the
choppy,
the editing, because every scene was so and I don't know how else to explain it. There's no transition. It's just, there's a scene, there's a scene, there's a scene.
But it didn't, they don't slide together.
No.
Like, it's like where he was when his kid was up the hill, I can't remember. He was in the building.
He was in the shop.
And then next thing you know, the kids died. And then, like I say, there's no emotion, no transition. He's just banging on the door of another guy, asking him where the witch was. And it was like,
and he was so fucking blasé about that. Yeah, man, where's this witch?
But it was just all very peculiar. It was just peculiar. And like I say, I don't know whether that comes down to Stan's first time as a director, making choices that necessarily is on a learning curve for being a first-time actor. But if you are a first-time director, if you are 3 million into the budget, that's what you've got, that's what you're going to spend.
It didn't lose money though, did it?
No, it made 4.5. So I mean, and that's due to the lack of publication, publicity. Words.
Was that the problem?
Well, apparently that's the reported problem. But yeah, I think had Stan had a directing debut on a lesser known, a smaller movie, an indie movie like we know them as, maybe it would have been a learning curve for him there. And then go into something like Pumpkinhead when he's got a bit of just a little bit more knowledge of how to do the other side of
absolutely.
things.
Like I've said many times through this podcast, there is so much potential in this franchise. They could really do something special with it. So when I heard after I watched it and I read that it's been in talks for ages, by the way. Since 2018 is the last time it was mentioned, and then it's only been last year that talks were happening again. I was like, actually, fuck yes. As long as you keep what you have with Pumpkinhead, as long as you keep that aesthetic, as long as you keep the actual practicality of it and the practical effects, don't over CGI it. I understand if CGI is needed, especially for movement, because of how limited they were with movement, is how quick that he ran. I don't want to see a super fast, speedy Gonzalez Pumpkinhead, but do you know what I mean? Just to make the movement a bit more fluid, I could understand that, but don't take away from the practical effects. Really flesh the story out. The story is not too bad. The main plot line isn't terrible at all. It's just how it was portrayed, how it was acted. The dialogue is fucking lacking. Like, honestly, if Quentin Tarantino got his hands on this, I feel like we would know the ins and outs of a fart, because all the dialogue would be actually put into there for us to know that.
There'd be a lot of monologues,
It's the top one. It's the top guy who came into my head. When I think of dialogue, I think of Quentin Tarantino. But you know what I'm saying? Like, it just needs to be really fleshed out, and you could have a really good fucking monster movie. And I feel that's where horror is heading these days, is we're going back to monsters.
Yeah, because I mean, what's coming out end of next month? You've got Godzilla versus new Godzilla versus Kong, haven't you? Movie.
You've had Godzilla Minus that came out last year, which is apparently amazing. We won't watch it until we can buy it.
Same. We want to watch it on the TV, because I have to sit with glasses on and read subtitles, because Danielle can't see subtitles without glasses.
I have a 75-inch television. I can see fucking everything now. But yeah, we don't want to watch it until we can watch a good copy of it. Even if that means buying it, I will. But I feel that's where we're heading into a monster era. And we've got No, say it for us, Dan, because I'm not going to do
Nosferatu.
Yep, that's
You've also got The First Omen, which was something I was talking to people about today on the page. Blumhouse isn't involved in that one at all, so I'm very, very intrigued to see where they're going to go with that one. Because I caught the end of the trailer and I was really, really intrigued. And I thought, well, I'm not a trailer person. I like to, if it's a movie I'm really interested in, like Ghostbusters, Frozen, Empire, I haven't seen any of them yet.
Good, but I had to watch it.
So if they're like ones that I really want to watch, like films I really want to watch, I refuse to watch the trailers, because you then see the movie at the end. So horror ones I don't mind so much, unless it's some big thing that I really, like I said, really want to see. But then I put up about the new Silent Hill movie that's coming out this year.
Yeah, I have never touched on that franchise at all, ever. I don't know anything about it, apart from I watched a documentary on the real Silent Hill village. But I don't know anything about it. So I would, if it would get us into it, then, because I know Graham loves it and speaks really highly of it.
It's something I would like to cover, because they do have monsters in the original movie.
Cool.
So I would like to do it at some point on this pod for sure. So Paul, no on the Sunday. No. See this, it's a foot and it's going down, okay? But yeah, the Silent Hill franchise, the first one was absolutely superb to me. It's the only one I've never had a night terror before or ever again since, but the first film gave me night terrors. I was convinced Pyramid Head had cut my legs off, and I was wide awake, and I just couldn't move, and I was in the bedroom staring at the ceiling, and I couldn't move. I had like paralysis, the full boona, and I've never had it since. And it's that to this day the only horror film, apart from the first time when I was about 10 or 11 when I watched Nightmare on Elm Street, and that like it was the scene where Freddy comes out, he's like on the fabric of the wall when he's pushing out.
It's like a membrane kind of.
Yeah. I had exactly the same wall behind me, except
what, a membrane one?
Like a white one, and it was exactly and it felt like when I went to watch the movie and we had bunk beds and I was in the top bunk at the time because we used to swap. And I was in the top bunk, and it felt like Freddie was going to come over my head. So for me, like that freaked me out for a long time.
That's just made me go really cold inside. I didn't like that.
But Silent Hill is to this day probably, it is. It's the only film and the only time I've ever had a night terror in my entire life.
That's crazy. You talked about the first Omen. I don't normally bring this up, but the Omen is probably one of my most watched horrors. I can't, I literally, I will watch this at least once every 6 months.
This is for you, Damien.
It's all for you. And every time that thing comes on, I always see it. I absolutely adore that movie. Gregory Peck is just fucking fantastic in it. And to know he's going through his own grief while he's doing it, it just brings, like, God bless that man. Like, he's just amazing. I love him.
What did you think of the remake with Julia Stiles and the
Didn't mind it. Generally didn't mind it.
I didn't. Surprisingly, they kept very, very,
very true,
faithful to the original. I feel like there wasn't too much deviation, but it wasn't an exact copy.
No, it wasn't like they did what they did with Psycho. It wasn't word for word, scene for scene, line for line.
Don't get angry, breathe through it.
I'm not gonna. I'm okay. But I didn't. I think I actually watched the remake before I watched the original. But the original, oh gosh, David Warner say, love it. But the kid, you can't top the kid from the first one. You cannot. That smile, and to know nobody told him to do that is just genius. When he turns to the camera and he smiled, and even the director went, "What are you doing, kid?" And they kept it in. Then they kept it in. So I'm looking forward to that. There's a few horrors I'm looking forward to this year.
I have some crackers coming out. So
I have zero interest in fucking Winnie the Pooh 2, Electric Boogaloo. No interest
I haven't seen
whatsoever.
the first one, Blood Money, and I don't want to see the Mickey Mouse Steamboat Willie one either. It's like it just holds no interest.
How fucking quick were they? As soon as that came up for free licensing, how quick were they to fucking do that? The dickheads.
It's like a pet peeve of mine. I've got to be honest. I think I did a rant on Facebook the other day about how much I hate people being able to get away with using IP and not thinking there's consequences. I mean, luckily the Steamboat Willie one had just expired. I think it was like they released the movie the day or the day after.
Yeah, it was the day after.
The IP. They
thought they were being big and clever. Look at us. No, mate, it's just shit. It looks really shit. Our IP is safe with monsters because Frankenstein has been in the general domain for a long time now.
Yeah, it's just when people do things like they use logos, they use very recognizable character faces and things like that, and they don't have the rights to distribute, and they'll make these items and they'll bring them to shows and they'll sell them, and it's like,
shows, right? Yeah,
guys, you cannot sell this stuff. You legally cannot.
There was a lot of things with the artwork and the music artwork. So the score pages, and the image on the front. Now, it wasn't the score page, and it was the actual image that they were using. So Carolyn did original artwork.
Yeah.
These were using actual pictures and selling them. And it's like, holy shit, man. Like, how much work she put into that, and how much and it was big. I say it was a big talk. Like, there was a few conversations.
There's 3D printers as well. To distribute.
I saw your rant about that.
Yeah, I have a big deal about this. If you're making it for yourself to sit there and paint and make as many as you like, go at it. Once you've bought that STL file, that is yours and yours alone. But you're not paying for the right to resell, and you're not paying for the licensing to distribute. You're paying for that file for a single use.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's it. And if you were to be paying for the licensing for, say, Freddie or Jason or Michael, you are looking in the thousands of pounds to be able to just have one image, which they have to clear. The people that own the image have to clear that image before you're allowed to use it. So if people are selling these things or caught selling these things, then they run the risk of having their entire and there is a very open company about this. Hell on Shirts, Jess and Robbie.
Yes.
Jess has done a video about this where she's really open about when they first started. They didn't realize about IP. They didn't realize about distribution. They didn't realize about any of the use of images. And the police came to their house.
Oh
They
my
seized their
God.
computers. They seized all their work stuff. They took all their stock. It happens. So people have to understand that there are consequences. Just because you think you can 3D print it or paint it or photocopy it, or there are possibilities.
And this is like large distribution that we're referring to. Because like Hell on Shirts, honestly, check out this shit. It is so good. I remember seeing them when we were at Liverpool Comic Con, and it was the night before, so everyone was setting up, so there's no one around. So me and Carolyn were like, let's go have a look around the stalls. And I just spotted theirs, and I was like, Carolyn, I would actually spend all my money right here. So good, really good.
Robbie and Rob are very good friends. They love each other. They look like weird brothers because they've both got the big old tashes and they're both covered in tattoos, but I highly recommend you go and like buy and have a look at their stuff, because they are the quintessential people that can teach you a lesson by watching their videos, because they now commission artwork. They then have to get the artwork agreed with the people that own the license for the character. They then sign it off. Like Damien Leone has had to sign off the Terrifier stuff. They weren't allowed to distribute it until Damien had given the right, the green light to the artwork.
Wow.
So everything is done properly by those guys. And there's ways around stuff. I'm not saying you can't take tiny little like random things that are in a film, like a spoon or a bowl that are like key little moments. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about you whack Jason's face on something and you sell it and you don't have the licensing for it. You are in danger, girl. To quote Goldberg, you're in danger, girl.
You're in danger, girl.
But I'll stop ranting because it is one of my. Next to Blumhouse, it's up there.
It's you can't do a full podcast on that though. Or can you? Any more interesting facts about, I say interesting, loosely based interesting facts on Pumpkinhead?
I only have one, and that was that the cabin that was used that the kids were found in was actually also used in Friday the 13th
part 2. Oh, I was going to say part 2. It's 4, isn't it?
4 was final chapter, wasn't it? The Corey Feldman. Yes. Which was a peculiar movie within itself.
Same cabin though. Yeah, I can't watch that one.
And he shaved his head and he's got all of his little.
It's like the first one happened and that was it for me.
I watched a lot of those movies when we did the Jason episode.
Yeah, we also did a Jason episode if you want to go in there. And up until recently, he was our kill count king. And he's been knocked off. I'm devastated by it, but he's been knocked off by Michael Myers. Sorry for all you Michael Myers fans out there, but I thought Jason would have had a decent run. But he got knocked out pretty quickly. It'll never be as long as Claude Rains. Just saying. Just saying. So next week, I have no fucking idea what we are doing. Do you want to explain what this section is?
Right. We're starting a new thing.
Brand new.
Where Mr. Mike Kell from the Geek/Horror Asylum chooses a random movie, horror movie or monster movie or something in that realm for me and Sammy to watch and review. So we only find out now as we're announcing this. It'll either be in the chat or we find out just as we're recording to tell you. And so it's now going to be conveniently called Mike's Pick. So
we debut Mike's Pick next week. I highly recommend you join Geek Asylum and the Horror Asylum, because Mike's reviews on horror movies are fucking brilliant. And he's always been a great supporter of ours. And
he's on the Thing episode.
He is once again on the Thing episode. If you want to go and check that one out. But yeah, he's such a a great guy, and I read his reviews, and I know the movies he reviews, and I'm dreading to think what he has picked for us this week.
Well, I haven't heard of it, so that instantly makes me kind of excited
Okay.
because I'll be going into it blind, which is good because I love a
Yeah.
film which I can go in blind.
Well,
They're the
I
ones that
must
make me
admit,
excited.
yeah, I must admit, The Blob and Pumpkinhead. What did we do last? Well, not The Ritual because I had seen it, but it wasn't like a one and done kind of thing.
Yeah.
I have loved it. Don't get us wrong. For all I had a lot to pick about this movie, I've loved learning about it and the creature art and everything. It's been great. So go on, hit me with your best stuff.
It's a Shudder exclusive, so it's on Shudder.
Got ya.
And the film is called Anything for Jackson.
Oh,
It's called. So he'll pick a very random movie. It might not even be like a monster or a traditional horror movie, but it will have something in it that is weird. So this is Mike's pick. I don't know how much we'll be able to find out behind the scenes wise, facts or fiction. So it may well be that this might just be me and you talking about the plot of the movie and how we feel about it. I've never heard of this film, so I'm not sure, like I say, how much deep diving we can do on it. But I'm intrigued all the same.
I didn't know how much deep diving we could do on this movie, but we still managed to pull it out of our asses.
It's true. It's true. There's much more than I thought we were going to, find. So
yeah, a few tangents along the way, but right, okay. Anything for Jackson, interesting. So that's next week. And then this is the start of Mike's picks, which will just be every so often. We'll just go, Mike, pick us a movie.
Yeah. So they will be extremely obscure and random. I have a feeling, judging by this one.
And judging by the movies Mike watches.
Yes.
But thank you so much for that, Mike. Right. So, Pumpkinhead in the bag.
Pumpkinhead in the bin.
Pumpkinhead in the grave.
In the pumpkin patch. With Lance Henriksen.
It's done. It's done. So we are on every Monday at 7:00 on YouTube. Our episode premieres, and our audio goes up on anywhere that you find your podcast from on a Tuesday. If you wouldn't mind, like, share, and subscribe, that would be grand. And all of the socials for Bleeding Marvelous and Nerdy Up North and even Monsters Up North are where Dan is telling you right now. Down below. Down below. Well, that was something.
It certainly was.
That was definitely something. A lot of fun, not gonna lie. I did text Dan and just went, I don't know if this is really shit or absolutely hilarious. I can't quite decide at the moment. And you just went, it's a bit of both. You were absolutely right. It is a bit of both. But I hope you enjoyed Pumpkinhead. So one last thing. No, gosh, I can't even talk. There's only one more thing to say. Say goodbye, Dan.
Goodbye, Dan.
Stay spooky, everyone. Bye.